Um, I'm delighted to have you guys here. Uh, we've played a significant role over time in open source per se, and we want to continue to invest. We think that Presto and Velox, in particular, are one of the best pieces of technologies right now on the market. And we have a vested interest in working very closely with the community to actually bringing it into enterprise and making sure that we are contributing back to the community and making the technology better. So um, I'm glad that you guys are here. This is where SQL was invented. Actually, in '73, comes out of this lab and the one in Almaden. Um, Of course, the history tells you that Oracle got formed by some of our mistakes of not paying attention to the technology at that point, even if we invented it. The other good thing here is the first relational database came, no, actually is the second because Oracle was before us, came out of this lab. We still have the main development for it here is DB2Z, is primarily for mainframes. Every transaction in the world that you are actually doing, it's actually on a DB2Z system. Um, so a lot of history in the domain. We have a lot of knowledge. And I'm responsible for everything data and AI, including the AI aspects like what's on X and the new stuff we are doing. But I want to focus and discuss with you the importance of Velox at IBM and how do we see it? How do we use it and why do we believe in it? Huh, I may have went into the wrong direction. Okay. So one of the leading products for us, it's a lakehouse product. And part of it, the core engine is Presto for interactive query. It's incredibly important, and we are at the beginning of the journey. We've been through this with Spark, with Databricks. I was personally leading Spark Technology Center. We have contributed majority of the SQL into Spark SQL for a while. Databricks obviously took off, and congratulations to them. It's one of the best companies that have emerged around Spark. We see the same thing around Presto, and that's why we are betting right now very close with Meta and Intel and Microsoft and others on Velox. We are building this lakehouse with the construct of allowing our customers, enterprise customers, and ourselves internally to access data everywhere, be it on premise, and we have a lot of it. Over 60% of the world data still lives on premise right now, and merge it with cloud and make sure that they have a seamless transition from one place to the other. We are also building in governance. Governance doesn't become anymore a thing that somebody in the office does. It's something that has to be tracked throughout. The complexity of the processes that we are seeing right now in any type of system becomes really hard to actually do it after the fact. It has to be done as it happens. And we have to reduce the cost. Currently, what we are seeing, and Presto itself, and Velox itself, allows us to have a different paradigm into way we approach large-scale SQL large-scale volumes. It's a composable engine. It sits on top of independent storage layers, and you can grow it and shrink it as needed. That allows you to tailor your workloads for fit for purpose and be a little bit more flexible in the way you approach things. And we see that already from a lot of our initial adopters. So we are already having customers buying into this idea. I'm telling you, Presto is still in the initial adoption phase in enterprise. It happens to Spark too, about 6 or 7 years back. It takes about a year or two for the enterprises to catch up to it. I don't think we have time. So 1 or 2 years, we need to aggressively push for this, because when they will hit us, I have deployments right now over 100,000 cores for Spark, like as simple as that. We need to be careful because this is where Presto will eventually get into. I don't know how to use this. Okay, so why Presto? Well, SQL is king. That's the way I have to say it. For me, I know I'm rusty, but for me to use pandas, I have to wake up 2 hours earlier every morning. Like SQL is here to stay and is the most used language for everything modeling in any way, shape, or form you look like. I remember even in my days when I was super happy when I was writing all the skeletons of my application, get to SQL, go over the data modeling, and then go back into writing my applications properly. It's still there. It's the same concept today. Your entire BI systems run on SQL. Your entire transactional processing, everything we do is SQL. I know there's been a lot of efforts on the market and transitions. Well, we do pandas, we do this, we do data frames. Net of it, a lot of people still default in SQL. And interactive SQL in general is key to any enterprise success in any type of workloads. There's not much I can say about it. The only engine that actually performs to the scale of what is expected for every enterprise right now, and we looked at many, that is composable in nature, is Velox. And we truly believe that. We know it. And I want to discuss a bit about, I'll give you a bit of an example of how we use it internally. So when we build IBM models, we have this concept of data model factory where we curate every single data set and we go and retain all kinds of information about it, every process that happened on it, what was the output and inputs, and what did we transform, and how did it look, and how did data sets transition from one place to the other. I'm not talking about rectangular data sets here. I'm talking about the knowledge base that we send to our models. You will generate a lot of synthetics adjacent to your original data sets. All of these things have to be tracked for compliance. We don't put a single model in production without having a clearance from legal, our risk officers, the compliance officers, the AI ethics boards. We have probably 50 boards. Like if you work in a big corporation, that's pretty much how it goes. And we would have never been able to do it. We'll be stuck trying to be models and productize them if we didn't have a data model factory. And at the speed at which these things are going, we didn't find a different engine other than Presto that would help us achieve what we needed to achieve, both in terms of the amount of queries that we need to reply back to all the governance board and regulators, as well as the things that we do internally to understand how we build the next generation of models. And we do them also in partnership with others. We have Meta involved, both in terms of PyTorch as well in terms of Llama. We have MIT and others that have to work on a very well-defined framework for models. We are also moving right now in our global CDO office, a lot of the implementations we used to have with Spark into the Presto world. I can't talk too much about it. It's a lot of stuff that I can't really say, but the adoption we are seeing inside IBM and the benefits are incredible. And therefore, we decided to work with the community and collaborate. Velox at IBM, yeah, we are building commercial offerings in addition to what we use internally, and both in Gluten, both in Velox as Presto 2.0, as well as Gluten for Spark with Intel. We look literally, we commit and actually have our own committers actively working with the Velox community in file system support, Parquet readers, Iceberg readers, and a lot of other stuff. And now we'll increase our contributions primarily towards SQL and what has to happen in that space. And we have a strong partnership, to be honest, with Meta and Intel around Velox. And we really want to bring this project forward. And we are committed. Like, please follow that link if you want to be part of it, if you want to contribute. There is a link on the deck. You can take a picture and we can actually work together. we have a history of this, and I'll give you a little bit of that. We started Linux Foundation a long time ago, and we started it at a significant loss to our business. We knew it. It wasn't accidental. The first thing we contributed was C groups and network overlays. They were not existing in Linux at that point. And probably everybody knows that C groups and network overlays are the root of everything containers, and Docker came out of it, and so many other things. And the reason why we do it, and why we will contribute a lot more even in Velox, we generate a new type of business. We change the way that enterprises behave, and we still have that power and street cred to do it, such that later on, things will expand. We will capture, like, I do have a commercial interest, don't get me wrong. I will never do things without thinking that eventually I will benefit me or my company for it. It is natural, it is normal. But trying to grab on the open source of the initial part of the project is the wrong approach to do. Being successful with a certain technology, and I truly believe in this one, means that eventually we will enable and create new type of workloads in the industry that we can all capitalize on. Will make life easier for others. Like C groups and network overlays for us killed significant amount of business. Our Unix business went down, our power servers went down, a lot of stress on our hardware business eventually. But guess what? We ended up capitalizing on others because we knew that the market will expand and adapt into the right direction. Linux became much more important at that point, and we will continue to contribute. Same happens for Kubernetes, same happened for Spark. We have some flops, like Watson. We didn't pay too much attention to certain things at that point. But reality is we make bets, we win some, we lose some. This one is the one we will win together, because at the end of the day, enterprises need SQL. And I'm pretty sure that if you are successful, we will discuss about a new era of SQL. 3 to 4 years down the road, it will be new ways of approaching problems because of the clustered environments. So thank you for being here. Please contribute, and we are strong believers, and alongside with Meta and Intel, we'll continue to push hard on this engine. We truly believe in it. Thank you.
Remus, you just drew parallels with the Linux Foundation, what it did to AIX and Power. You have a significant proprietary non-composable database business as well. So where do you see this going in terms of market adoption, what it means for IBM, and not just proprietary databases for IBM, but say for Oracle or Teradata or others?
So we do have a significant footprint on proprietary databases. That's a question, right? And how do I think this is going? There are always new type of workloads that are being defined in every business. Absolutely. Are we capturing this? Who is capturing these workloads right now? A lot of it goes to Spark. Is Spark sufficient? I don't think so. Because in many cases, it's not going to be able to serve the needs on the BI system per se. It's good in ELT, it has its strengths, but there are gaps in the way you interact with SQL. Am I going to lose some in my proprietary databases? Absolutely, I will. It's okay. I'm pretty sure that we can win on the tail end of it. Right? This will change the dynamic on how the workloads will be defined inside enterprises. You know, in the past, we used to be operational data store, ADW, data marts. These are data marts. DB2 warehouse was ODS, Teradata, ADW. Those are starting to blend in right now. So you still see the assemblage getting stronger and a lot more. Snowflake is a player that plays very well in data marts going backwards. Databricks is playing into EDW very well. But none of them covered really well the SQL aspect except for Snowflake. I don't think that it will be an immediate loss for the traditional workloads we have, because it's really it's really hard to migrate. But if we make Presto a polyglot engine on SQL, I will lose some, but I'm okay because we will win on the other end. Does that make sense?